Creators of the multiverse! Welcome back. I am Athena Amoeba and we are tuning into the power of your mind, the power that you can use to create your own universe. I am super excited about today's video because we are going to be reviewing a book that is so impactful. It helped me make a change in my life in just a matter of days, and I believe that it can help you do the same as well. The book that we're going to be reviewing today is The War of Art. Break through the blocks and win your inner creative battles. There now, don't you already feel like anything is possible? This book is going to give you the kick that you need to make it happen. This book is written by Steven Pressfield. He's a fiction writer who's written many great novels. But I, for one, am super grateful that he took a step outside of his comfort zone and gave us this gift. Because let me tell you, it is just the boost you need to get going on your dreams. Just a few days after reading this book, I started writing an ebook. I've had this idea for a long time and I just got to going on it. I also became more consistent with creating the content that I want to create to share these resources with you all, which is work that is so important to me. And this book helped me realize what was holding me back, why I wasn't pursuing the things I wanted to. Helped me to clear out all of those blocks and just do the work. And let me tell you, that's a night and day difference between pursuing your goals and not pursuing your goals. So I'm highly convinced that this book can do the same for you. So who is The War of Art really for, and who will this book really help? This book is for anyone who has a creative project in mind. If you want to be a writer, a musician, a painter, anything creative that you want to do but just haven't gotten started on, you need to read this book. This book is also for anyone who wants to grow or develop themselves in any sort of way. Whether you want to learn a new skill, whether you want to start a business, or whether you want to get healthy. If there's something that you've been wanting to do for a long time but haven't started it yet, this book is for you.
There is so much valuable content in this book that I highly recommend reading it yourself. However, I am very excited to share a summary and a breakdown of some of the main points that really helped me make my breakthroughs so that you can get started today with your breakthrough.
Now for me, the baseline summary of this book, what it really boils down to is that if you have a dream and if you have a version of your life that you long to live, if you have a goal that you're dying to achieve, you have to do the work to make it happen. There is no way around it. You've just got to do the work. But what's so great about this book is that Steven Pressfield really highlights all of the different ways that we self-sabotage and all of the different ways that we stop ourselves from doing the work. Now, I'm going to share 11 of the main points that I truly believe can help anyone overcome these obstacles so you can start living your dreams today. The first major point of this book is that all of us have two lives. The lives that we're living and the unlived lives that we wish we were living. Many people never live the lives that they truly desire to live, and that's why he calls it the unlived life. This is the life we would be living if we actually accomplished our goals and if we actually followed through with all of the things that we desire to do. So the first point is that all of us have desires, dreams, and goals. All of us have ways that we want to develop and grow personally, but many of us never get to live those lives. The second point is that what stands in the way between ourselves and our unlived lives is what Steven Pressfield calls resistance. Resistance is what Steven Pressfield labels anything that has stopped you from living your dreams so far, anything that stopped you from taking that first step. We're just gonna go ahead and call that resistance from here on out because that's what Steven Pressfield calls it in the book. So point number 2 is resistance is what stands in your way from living your dreams and living your unlived life. Point number 3 is that resistance shows up anytime we have a creative goal or a personal development goal. Straight out of page 6, resistance will show up and try to stand in the way of any act that rejects immediate gratification in favor of long-term growth, health, or integrity. Or, expressed another way, any act that derives from our higher nature instead of our lower. So basically, resistance shows up and tries to stand in the way of any way that will improve our lives, help us grow, or help us to create something. It will not come and stand in the way if you want to eat a whole pizza by yourself.
Unless you're trying to break a world record, then maybe it will.
Or if you're trying to do anything that just gives you that instant gratification. Resistance isn't going to show up, so you're good. Resistance only shows up when we're trying to improve our lives in some sort of way. Main point number 4. What is resistance? We already said that resistance is what tries to stop us. But it's not one thing, it's many things. Resistance is internal, it's invisible, and we feel it.
It is basically self-sabotage in all of its forms.
Sabotage. Resistance shows up as self-doubt. It shows up as fear of criticism from others. It shows up as even physical ailments. It shows up as depression. It shows up in so many ways. To get the full list, you've got to read the book because it's all in here. All in here. But seriously, it shows up in any way that you could think of that would be self-sabotage. Literally anything that would stop you from achieving your goals. Now that brings us to point number 5, which is, even though resistance is internal, we project it onto the world so that we can believe that it's external and use it as excuses for our self-sabotage. So an example of this would be, let's say that you're trying to lose weight and you have a goal that you want to work out every day. You want to go for a walk every day, but it's raining. So you say, well, it's raining, so I'm not going to go today. I'm not going to work out today. And you don't work out that day. Well, you know what? Resistance has just won in that case because yes, it is raining, but you're using the rain as an excuse not to follow through on your goals, on the way that you want to improve yourself and your life. This is how resistance is insidious. A lot of times the excuses that we have are absolutely valid. It's not that they're not real. It's not that these things aren't true. It's that we use them as excuses to not follow through on living our dreams.
Oh my gosh, it's so insidious.
So this is what Steven Pressfield really drives home throughout the pages of this book, is all of the different ways we lie to ourselves, kid ourselves, and allow ourselves to make these excuses which feel absolutely valid, but at the end of the day, it's only serving to keep you from living the life you truly want to live. So point number 5 is that resistance is always internal, but we use external factors as excuses to fuel our resistance and block ourselves from our dreams. Now, point number 6 is that sometimes people will project their resistance onto us, and in turn, we can project our resistance onto other people. Now, for an example of how this works, let's say that you just finally had a breakthrough. You've had enough. You're tired of the excuses. You're tired of not following through on your goals, and you decided to take action. So you started pursuing your dreams every day, whatever it is. Let's say you started making music. Let's say you started writing that book that you've been talking about writing for 5 years. Or you started that diet. Or you started walking every day. You started exercising every day and are seeing progress. Well, people around you who haven't faced their own resistance, who haven't started their projects, will try to sabotage you. And it's not necessarily intentional, and it's not, even very obvious at times. But let's say they start saying, oh, you've changed, or they'll get sick, or they try to do something to make you focus on them and the only reason is because they are jealous that they haven't been able to overcome their own resistance. So it's not that they're trying to sabotage you and that they don't want you to live your dreams, but it's more so that seeing you overcome your resistance makes them feel like there's something wrong with them, and so they subconsciously try to pull your attention away and your focus away from what you're doing, away from accomplishing your goals, and onto them. This is another way that we could stand in our own way or try to stand in the way of the people that we love. Don't do it, and don't let anybody do it to you. Now, point number 7, this is huge. This is honestly one of the ones that really got me. Point number 7 is that resistance never sleeps. It's a daily battle. So this was big for me because I feel like subconsciously I've always been waiting to get to the top of the mountain. I've been subconsciously waiting to get to a point where things would just be easier. What Steven Pressfield talks about is that there's a daily struggle. It doesn't matter if you finally got started on your project, you finally got started on your goal. You're going to have to face the same resistance again tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. But somehow knowing that and being prepared for that helps you to realize that you're going to have to overcome it every single day, and just helps you prepared to do exactly that. Not let it stand in your way. Don't let today be the day that you say, well, actually today's a great example. I almost didn't make this video because I was tired. I felt super sleepy, and then I said, no, this is resistance trying to kick your ass. Make the fucking video. So even though resistance kind of tricks us and tries to make us feel like we'll enjoy the instant gratification more, in the long term we're much happier and more fulfilled with ourselves and our lives when we don't let resistance win, when we don't let instant gratification win, and we follow through with the things that really are in our hearts, that are really in our souls, and that are our deepest desires. So point number 7 is huge. Resistance never sleeps. It comes for us every day, and we have to be prepared for that. Knowing that and being aware can really help us to recognize it when it shows up and shut it down so we can get closer to achieving our goals every single day. Point number 8 is that you've got to turn pro. Turning pro means knowing that no matter what, you're going to show up to beat resistance every single day. Now again, I highly recommend reading this book for yourself because he shares all the different ways that you can turn pro. I'm going to share some of the main ones that really had an impact with me right now, but there's so much more in the book. I highly, highly, highly recommend reading it yourself. One of the main points about turning pro that really stuck out to me is point number 9, which is you've got to self-validate. Self-validating means that you don't look for approval from anybody else. You don't look for other people to say that you've done a good job, or you know what, you really should write, you really should make art, you're so good. We've got to get that idea out of our minds right now. Now, when people do give us those compliments and the affirmation, that's great. I'm not going to say that it can't give you a boost. I'm not going to say that it can't encourage you or inspire you to keep going. But what I'm saying is you can't rely on that, because as good as it feels when people compliment you, guess what? The world is full of trolls. And trolls feed on destroying people. They want to tear people's dreams down. They get energy from making people feel bad. And you know what? No matter what it is that you do, no matter how good you are, there's going to be someone out there judging you for it. So that's why you can't depend on external validation to do what you want to do. That's why you can't depend on external validation to follow through on the things that will make your life the life you want to live. Now, point number 10 is don't take success or failure personally. Now, this goes along with the idea that you shouldn't over-identify with the work that you're trying to do. You shouldn't over-identify with your goal. You think of yourself as a person who is on a journey to learn or create something. Because if you fail or if you have a setback, you don't identify with it. It doesn't become a part of you. It's not a reason to stop. It's just a lesson. It's just a stumbling block. You aren't your failure. And along the same vein, you aren't your success either. These are just experiences that you get to enjoy in the context of becoming the person that you want to be, and living the life you want to live, and accomplishing the things you want to accomplish. Now, the last and final point is about divine inspiration. Steven Pressfield dedicated a third of his book to what he calls the muses, or the greater powers that be. Our skills and talents don't really belong to us. They belong to the greater collective. They belong to the world. Think of it as your skills and talents and creativity flowing through you rather than being you. This also helps us to keep our ego in check and keeps us from facing a lot of the things that can tend to stop us, like fear of criticism, fear of failure, because we know that it's bigger than us. It's not us, it's something so much greater that we're just lucky to be a part of. The other part of this is that you can't wait for inspiration to strike, because that's unpredictable. In going pro, you have to show up every day, do the work a little bit every day, depending on what your schedule is, but show up to do the work. And when you show up, inspiration will naturally come. Maybe not every time, but by creating that space, by making it a ritual to create that space, it will inevitably show up. So those are the main points that I hope help you have a breakthrough and just start doing the work. Start living the life that you want to live and start pursuing your goals, because it's so important. It's a night and day difference between the kind of life you're going to live and the kind of experience you're going to have. It is time that we overcome resistance. It's time that we do the work, and it's time that we live our dreams and live the lives that we want to live. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. For more content like this on how you can live your best life, subscribe, and we will continue this journey together. Until next time, so much love to y'all.